Coach, Saturday afternoon after the game, you said you really wanted to go back and look at tape and learn something. Now on Tuesday afternoon, what sort of determinations can you make from the game?
To which we said on Saturday, you need to play. And, we practiced quite hard. Try to certainly proceed and work through any foreseeable situation. Yet it's different once you get to Saturday, and games tend to expose you more than practices do. Practices can be somewhat forgiving compared to a game. And, I think more than anything else, too, just realizing there's an awful lot of what you do in practice can carry over to a game. A detail that's learned, and that's probably the biggest thing is just understanding, just the details to truly improve. And I think the other part, you play a game, intensity-wise, they are different. And sometimes the stress and the strain you put on your body, especially the first game, I think tends to be a little bit more just because you're worked up. And even as much as you want to try and stay with some keel and context and realize more than anything else you got to play football, there's some apprehension that I think kicks in, especially in the initial game.
That being said, did you like the intensity level, the competitiveness you saw from you guys on Saturday?
I really liked our focus and our preparation, the eagerness to play, the areas where, you go through. I think, you look at defensively, just to be better fundamental tacklers. That's got to improve, and it can. Again, I think sometimes you get in there and get a little bit worked up, especially in close quarters. Now, there are open field plays where the key is to get a guy to the ground, however that may be. But anytime there's a really small amount of space, learn the importance of bringing our chin and our hips and running our feet to tackle that way. The value of disguise, we have to be better with our coverages. And, offensively, we had 2 second half times where the ball was relinquished. Those are things that, that have to be improved upon. With the special teams part of it, I think there were a couple of coverages in particular, including the long punt return. We got to be more exact, and we got to understand that when you're called upon, whether you're on the offense and now all of a sudden you're going out to play a special teams snap, that might be the most important snap that we have of the game, because that really is the first snap of a drive.
Looking on offense, what did you see? What did you like out of Saucier on Saturday?
I thought probably the biggest thing, Grant, was he played. You look for guys that you want guys that are focused and have a natural energy and fortitude about football. And that's revealed the more you're out there, especially on game day. Are you playing because the flyovers are fast, or because you're going to get recognized in front of a camera, or because your wristbands are different on that day, or are you playing because you really love the competition, the esprit of being alongside teammates, and the ruggedness of football? And he likes football, loves football.
We saw Isaiah a lot, or one game last season, and he came in on Saturday. Is there a scenario you could maybe see that you could use Ariane and Isaiah
I think most certainly
effectively throughout the year?
Most certainly. You look, I think we're going to have contributions out of at a good number of positions where it's going to be more than one person at that position. And we did it there. We did it in our offensive line. We did it in our defensive line. And I think it's foolish not to, and we've prepared like crazy for that to be the case too. If you went, golly, we absolutely I do.
Florida Atlantic played Oklahoma over the weekend, but they came on. They seem to be the darling team last year or whatever. Thoughts on them and what you've seen on tape so far?
You know, you look ever since about the second week of October, really, I mean, October, November, and December, there wasn't a hotter team in football. Just how explosive they were offensively. Just when it comes to the way they played defense, to have that number of starters back on defense too. Great open field. Big time playmaking ability, whether it's the tailback, the receivers, and then the same way on defense. And because of it too, those guys carry over athletically and are very involved in their special teams also. I mean, they won their last, I think they won like their last 10 games. I think they went through like 9 of those games. The last 9 games or 8 games, it was the last 9 games where they were never even trailed. At home, you look that last 6 games they played at home. That includes a bowl game and a conference championship. Just at the differential, and usually that's a pretty good indicator.
And you mentioned the tailback. I think he had 1,900 yards last year. I mean, what kind of style? Who is he reminiscent of?
Probably, quite frankly, Marshall Faulk. I mean, as far as guys that we've encountered, that he can run with thrust and power. He has very good ball skills, and when he breaks, he breaks. And in the various ways that he's utilized too.
And they utilize him in a passing game?
Some, but more than anything else, his threat is a ball carrier, and just a number of explosive plays, yet at the same time the number of 4-yard and 5-yard plays that are darn good runs.
And then with them making a change of quarterback with a freshman, I mean, how has that impacted, preparation, having not had much of a chance to see him?
Well, I still, we look at an awful lot of their last year's film. Now, they are different offensively this year than they were last year. I mean, I think that's pretty evident in their approach. Yet I wouldn't say wholesale. Not at all wholesale. I mean, just what you saw in the Oklahoma game. There were some singulars or new wrinkles offensively that we saw in that game that we did not see last year. And so probably, first of all, when you look at it from the big picture, and then when you break it down even into the smaller components of personnel, they're more athletic at quarterback. And I'll tell you what, they still have every bit as good. They're more athletic with probably more arm talent too.
And do you and Lane Kiffin have any kind of relationship? Do you know him?
Don't. I don't. No, sir.
Okay. Have you ever met?
I don't know if I don't think so.
And you mentioned Saucier. How much? They always say the big difference is from game 1 to game 2. With him in particular, having not even suited up for the past 2 years, do you think that might be more the case, just because he hadn't played football in so long?
Perhaps. I think the biggest indicator of what you see, the way guys make improvement throughout the year. Again, I go back to what we said a little bit earlier. Do you love football? Are you durable? And do you have ability? It takes all 3 of those qualities. And if you have each one of those attributes, then you're going to grow and you're going to improve as a player and, frankly, as a coach or anything you're doing. And he has each one of those three traits in a football player.
Yeah. And how do you address the fumbles, from he and Ariane?
Because those really weren't hard contact plays. Now, it's football, and there is still a good bit of contact. It'd be a foul in any other sport, or a card, in any other sport. Yet those are, there's a responsibility that you have to your teammates every time you carry the ball. And now is it, even if you're Mark Belanger or Brooks Robinson at shortstop or third base, maybe the best that's ever played their position, you aren't going to go 1,000 ground balls in a row. where you field it and make a clean throw. Yet fundamentally, there are some things that you can do in terms of the way you carry a ball. And, how important that is, how you carry a ball, just habit-wise, speaks more loudly than anything you can say.
And I'll just ask, do you anticipate a change at quarterback?
We're going to play, like I said a little bit earlier, we're going to play, hopefully we get good production out of at least two guys. I think you have to. And it's at a bunch of spots. And I think including there, too.
Okay. And at fullback, any update on Parker Wilson's condition?
No, sir.
Okay. Cole Fagan talked to Ben Miller about him yesterday. He said when he first met him, he got the sense he was a little bit mean, and he liked that. What'd you get this, when you first got to know this kid?
Yeah, he is focused. He is very intense. And he has football pedigree. His dad was a great football player. Obviously played at Miami, played for the 49ers. And just competitively the family. You probably go find with the sisters, their drive and their kind of the way they enjoy competition. He has that.
And you had so many fullbacks running in spring and fall. I mean, what helped him separate from the pack a little bit to where he?
Well, really, you look at it. I think that was, I said, two guys at a couple of spots. We really felt coming into the fall there could be three guys that are good contributors for us at that position. And I can still, that's going to be the case as we move forward.
Okay. And then, obviously at kicker, you make a change this year with Luke Strable gone. What did you think of Felici in the first game? And
I thought he kicked off for the most part pretty well. You look at the, I think he had 7 kickoffs. 6 of them were really solid. He hit the one long field goal. I think it was a 51-yarder. And then we, attempted the one that was back there past midfield. And he's going to do a really, really solid job for us. I think one of the things that Ben Miller's done that makes sense is you just watch how much he stretches those guys in practice in terms of distance.
We were joking about millennials earlier, but this game on Saturday is being shown on Facebook. I don't know if you can find a more nationwide audience than a Facebook audience, but the Mountain West they're trying to find new avenues. Do you see a world where maybe all the games are on Facebook or streamed in a different manner? I guess what's your reaction to sort of the new way to get Air Force brand out there?
Well, I think it's one way. It's not the only. And, certainly when we play on a road game, the host is the one that has the rights to how that game is distributed. And, once in a while, I also think, though, there's still great value in being on television, too. Now, it's the second best way. Third best way, number 2 is listen to Jim Arthur call an Air Force game, football, basketball, you name it, and then to be present.
When are you guys going to fly out?
We're going to leave Thursday night.
Okay. Will you do some recruiting on Friday?
We will. Yes, sir. And there and in other parts of that region of the country.
You seem to like recruiting out of Florida. When you get a road game and you have an opportunity to play like that, is this maybe a double whammy for you when you can meet face to face and then also bring them to a game?
Yeah, I think very well. Now we can't bring them to the game. But I think, just playing in that region of the country, it's one of the things we try to do, Grant. We try to play and we try to stretch our mileage, in the way we play. Last year you're up near, Ohio, Michigan, which is a really, really good recruiting area for us. This year being in South Florida, we've been in Atlanta. That part we play in the Northeast once a year. I think it's important for us to do that.